So, Terence Bud Crawford makes the third defence of that WBO welterweight strap that he took off Jeff Horn, stopping Egidijus Kavaliauskas, Mean Machine, in the 9th round of the fight with a really good stoppage, great uppercut, and it's these spiteful finishes that we're becoming increasingly accustomed to almost with Terence Crawford. This is actually the 7th time in a row now that the opponent has failed to last the distance. He is one of the best finishers in the game at the moment, and again, he has a real spite that once he gets a guy hurt, he really seems to have that animalistic sense of tasting the blood and then wanting to get you out of there. And so he picks just the right shots in order to get the job done. It was a purposefully aggressive performance. He wanted to have it out with Kavaliauskas, which was a dangerous game for a guy who's mostly knocked out his opponents. I think 17 out of 21 wins. And he seemed to pay the price almost in the 3rd or 4th round when he was, most people think, including myself, decked. It wasn't called a knockdown, but he was hit with a right hand. And then he tried to scramble up close and ended up just going down to his knees briefly. Got up, bit of an awkward moment where you're thinking, was that a knockdown? And then later it just seems like it basically was. Now, Crawford's pride may have been hurt a little bit there, and that may have bolstered his resolve to want to just get stuck in and have it out with Kavaliauskas in a fight, and in a type of fight which he ultimately won at. Crawford, being a real pound-for-pound talent, it's not the kind of performance that you'd associate with pound-for-pound. He's normally leaning more on the rear foot. The hands are up with almost with the open gloves for the parries, and he throws in these great looping counters that once they get you hurt, as I say, he really knows how to finish you. But he put himself in harm's way here, and the fact that he did get hurt like that and he was hit with the right hand a few times, it's made me almost kind of reconsider the pound for pound rankings. Not that I had Crawford #1, but I've heard some people after this performance now going, oh yeah, that's just clarified that Crawford is at the top of the pile. Not for me. If we're to believe CompuBox, he was hit more in that fight apparently than he has been against anybody else. And comparing him to his direct competitor Vasily Lomachenko is much better defensively, no question. His whole shtick is he can get right in front of you and make you miss all your shots. And yes, he was flawed that one time against Jorge Linares, I thought, when he was just getting a little bit too boisterous and he squared up. But he wasn't really hurt, he got right back up, whereas Crawford did seem to get buzzed there, showing that little bit of openness, that little bit of vulnerability, which didn't make me think of the pound-pound accolades of, pound-for-pound, sorry, I should say, of a Roy Jones, of a Pernell Whitaker, of a Floyd Mayweather. There was just that slight raggediness, that slight moment of vulnerability, where yeah, he chose to fight like that, but he did get hit with a pretty good shot at the same time. Now, Crawford's career, where he's at now, he's 32, he's going to be 33, I think, sometime next year. He's not that young. And the fight that we really needed to see against Errol Spence, that had already had enough time to transpire but didn't, the fact that Errol Spence has had that accident, miraculously survived. He's supposedly coming back maybe next year summer, but the chance of that fight happening, which I never felt was that great anyway because they're with different promoters and networks, I think, that has just gone even further down. So the question is who can Crawford fight? A guy who's 32, a guy who's not going to be in his prime for that much longer. I have heard now he might want to go up to middleweight to try and hunt a little bit of glory, other opponents. But for me, he's at his perfect poundage right now. Not a big guy, but a decent reach, punching really well at 147. Even without Errol Spence, I didn't have high hopes for that before. I don't think it's going to happen anytime now. But even without him, I prefer he stay at 147, try and unify, try and become undisputed in this era where being undisputed is particularly rare, and take his career from there.